you've been making content for fucking ever. Do you think the internet has like fundamentally changed, or do you think there's still that like audience for that super edgy content? Because like now you see a lot more like kind of clean content, but is that just because of sponsors or, advertising?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously what is edgy is constantly moving.
It sure is.
Right? So that's a bar that changes. That's like what comedians have to kind of look at and play with, is jumping on either side of that and just playing right on the edge. And I don't really think anything's changed too much. I think the comments about like things being advertiser friendly or whatever, like surely that's like important if you're trying to make a living on it. But I see plenty of people making a living being edgy because you can always do and you you can do the woe is me thing. I've seen plenty of people do it, which is like people basically say like, this type of content that I'm making doesn't have ads on it, or YouTube's not allowing me to put ads on my content, therefore support me on these other platforms.
Yes.
So like that's a really powerful tool, and people can do that if they're making edgy content.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily like a great excuse.
If you want me to be honest, I actually think that's a good thing. Being funded directly by your audience. I think that's better than advertisers in a lot of ways, right? It's safer. It actually and this is a problem, right? Is that there are very few ways that creators are really accountable, really for anything other than if they get banned. But besides that, people just keep doing the same stuff. They can fuck up, do something really bad, and nobody really gives a shit. And so having it to where like they're actually monetized by their audience makes them accountable to the people that they're making content for. I think it's the best thing possible, really.
Yeah, I agree.
So you really don't think the internet's changed that much over the years?
I really don't. I mean, we can maybe talk about examples.
Yeah, like for example, like back when I was a kid, I would tell everybody on League to like, you're fucking retarded, please kill yourself.
Right.
Right. But like these days, you can't say that.
But here's the thing, is that I used to think like you did.
Yeah.
But then I played Warzone and I queued into random lobbies. Every single one of them were using words that would get us demonetized. And this was like, and they were doing it constantly. And it was just like, nothing has changed. It's like I went from playing a lobby of Halo 2 in 2004 to Warzone in 2021, exact same thing. I don't think anything's really changed a lot at all. I think that the difference is that it's not promoted as much and you can get in trouble for it more.
I guess that's fair. You don't think there was like a big wave for the past like 2-3 years? Maybe it was just me, because I played this game called Genshin Impact for a little bit, where they're kind of like moral polices.
Well, it's the demographic.
Yeah, do you think that's what it is?
Like the demographic of Genshin, and then like a lot of us were kind of aging out of certain, like areas that would be more edgy, but they still exist. We're just not in them anymore.
Yeah, because like, I mean, back when like, the past 2-3 years, I felt like there was this massive wave of like SJWs being like, don't say this, don't say that. You say someone's retarded, you're ableist. You say someone's killing themselves, that's a serious crime. Like for example, when Vebe said, see you later, retards, that was like a huge deal. For me, I did not get a single fuck. But
like whenever you say it's a huge deal, what you mean by that is that there was like a tweet that had 500 likes that like, it was 6 people like gave a shit about.
It was like a lot of people.
But like if you asked anybody that watches her, did this happen? They probably won't even know, right?
That's
and
fair.
Like that's the thing, is like I think that people usually, and like this kind of goes back to like finding things to hate somebody off of. Like they usually wait for a person to fuck up, and then they act like that fuck up is way worse than what it is.
Also, like when you see a big number on Twitter, I think it's easy to be like, oh wow, a hate tweet with 30,000 likes. That's actually like so small in the scope of things. Like I remember there's like one about me that like, I don't even remember how many it got. Like maybe it was like 15 to 30. It was hating me for saying I was a landlord, and I was a terrible person for being a landlord, because I joked to Schlatt that one time on our other podcast that I was a landlord. I'm not. And they were like, dude, I can't believe people support her because she's a landlord. And I was like, well, I'm not.
Yeah.
And it was all these people being like, yeah, landlords are terrible fucking people.
Maybe I have a really hard time understanding that. Because like, for example, I was losing my fucking mind the other day because I said a comment on stream to where I said lolicons are pedophiles.
13K. I'm thinking of another post then.
Yeah. I made a comment the other day where I said lolicons are pedophiles.
Right.
And then there was a post with 6,000 likes saying that I was a horrible person for saying that. And I was like, how the fuck?
They hated him because he spoke the truth.
Yeah, and I'm just like, how is there that many people that disagree with this shit?
Well, what kind of people do you think are disagreeing?
Yeah, who do you think is disagreeing? Yeah, well, go check their profile. Actually, have the FBI check their profile.
Yeah, guess what the profile picture was?
No, I don't want to.
Oh, Zhang Wei.
Zhang Wei?
Yeah, from Genshin Impact.
What?
Yeah, it was, it's very strange to me how clear I see the world. And I think I understand these things. And I feel like there are things that should just be common sense. But it just feels like that's not how some people think. And it's very strange to me how things that just seem so simple and straightforward are not understood. And I'm sure I'm not an exception. I'm sure there's probably things that I think that are fundamentally wrong. But I feel like I see things so black and white, and sometimes these people just have these weirdest fucking opinions that I cannot wrap my head around. And maybe I just shouldn't.
There was a hate thread about me recently because I said Twitch culture was for losers. And then obviously, and it's like, if I say something like this, in no point do I expect that everybody's going to be like, oh, you go girl. Obviously, it's going to make people mad. Yeah, no shit, because there's people that think they're part of the Twitch culture. And like, I'll read tons of these comments and people just get so fucking mad. And it's like, they'll invent these things that I did or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of on board with what you were saying. There is this
I was right about everything. I wrote out a 5-page notepad document about all the different ways that I was right. I'm going to make a video about it.
That's so poggers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, yeah. But that's just how it is, right? Yeah. I'm not really going to get upset about this because it's like, whenever you worry about this stuff too much, I think it just kind of like makes more of it happen, right?
Oh, yeah,
and like
for
the more
sure.
that you fight it, because like, I feel like for you is like, the more that you try to say no, the more other people try to say yes.
Yeah. If you, I've found over time, if you take a certain position, you're almost like inviting people to take the opposite position.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that happens a lot. But I think to the point of you saying that whatever it was, Twitch viewers are losers, or
Twitch culture is for losers.
Yeah.
Twitch culture is for losers. Yeah, I think, to be honest, that's like a good example of, there's probably people who are like offended or upset about that in any capacity. I imagine there's like we can sort of picture like a pie chart of like how many people are offended because they're on Twitch and they took personal offense or some shit like that. It's probably like pretty small. I would venture to guess like a large majority of people are like, well,
they didn't like me to begin
Pokey
with.
Would get roasted, or Pokimane would get roasted. Yes, exactly, for saying something similar.
Yeah.
And I think there's a position where, you know, a lot of people are more offended about that being the way that it is, rather than necessarily the content itself.
So it's kind of like what Emmy was saying, is like, they're not really mad at Emmy, they're mad about landlords.
Society,
exactly,
culture.
Yeah.
Yes, all of it.
It's like, this is just simply a platform for them to talk about their issue, you know, their problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that's it.